Hi everyone, my name is Christina Ficarra and I choreographed the piece When It Comes to Healing. And I wanted to come on here and answer some of your interview questions that were asked on Instagram. So the one question that I got a lot was, what was your inspiration for the piece? So as I said in the program, what inspired me to make this piece was the song Instructions for a Bad Day by Shane Koikison. He's a motivational speaker and he turns a lot of his speeches into songs. And I danced to one of those songs back when I was in high school, and it was really touching for me and had a great message, as all of his songs do. So Instructions for a Bad Day kind of stems in the fact that as a member of the human race, none of us suffer alone. Someone else has been through what you're going through or can relate to what you're going through, or maybe they're just having a bad day too at the same time. So none of us are suffering by ourselves. And I kind of wanted to relay that message. And I got a little bit nervous about the copyrights and being able to use his song because I remember from high school it was a little hard to get. As time went on, I kind of decided, what if I made my own version? Because I have this great set of family and friends who also have gone through a ton of things. So why not set it up like an interview and have the people that I love the most be able to share their stories and have people relate that way. So that's what I did. I had each of them record a voice memo of themselves where they talked about the hardest thing that they had gone through and then gave advice for someone else going through that situation. And then eventually I decided to have my friend Alex do the background music and kind of edit it all together for me. And he did a fantastic job. So, yep, it all started with Shane Koikison's motivational speeches. And that also kind of ties into the question, when did you start developing your idea for the piece? So I'm kind of a far ahead planner, and I started thinking about it when I was a freshman, and that's why that high school performance that I did was still so ingrained in my head, and I thought I definitely have to dance to Shane again. He's awesome. So I started developing it back then, but it wasn't until the end of my junior year that I really had to get serious about it and decided to do the family and friends interview part of it. So I guess about a year prior was when I started seriously thinking about it, but it was always kind of there over all 4 years. Someone else asked, what was your process like for figuring out what you wanted your piece to be? So I kind of touched on it a little bit already, but basically I knew I wanted to use that type of interview style, so that's what I did, and then I had to figure out what was the order like. Did I want each person just to monologue separately, or the way that I wound up doing it was having them, everyone lays out the hardest thing that they had gone through, and then there's this big change, and it was supposed to symbolize everyone growing and transforming and kind of picking themselves up and dusting themselves off, and then they talk about the advice that they would give to someone else who was going through a similar situation or any kind of situation. I also always knew that I wanted to have a big group of dancers. I didn't want to do a 10-minute solo. It just didn't feel right to me. So I kind of just wrote to the people who really impacted my life at Ryder, people who were always friendly to me, people who I've worked with a lot in the past, who I'll always remember as like one of my dancers or one of my friends. So each of those dancers is super special to me as well. Another person asked, what was your process like for choreographing? So I am a little bit silly for this, but I would kind of wait until the day that I was teaching it to start choreographing it, and not because I'm a procrastinator, because I really am not at all. But it was something about, like, I need the pressure of having to have it done. I mean, I would listen to the song in the car and think certain things are going to go here, and then when I got down to doing it, I had to wait until the day up to choreograph anything because nothing would come to me if I tried to do it earlier. It's such a strange thing. But when I choreograph, I kind of imagine a little dancer in my head, and this dancer, they have no limits. They're infinitely flexible. They aren't afraid of anything. So I just kind of in my head picture this little dancer moving to the music and the piece and what would they be doing, and then I try to see if I can do it, and then in turn I try to see if my dancers can do it, and they can attest to you because I'll say, if you can't do this, let me know, because my goal is not to hurt anyone. But things got a little bit crazy because I was basing it off of this limitless dancer. So that's a little bit about what my choreography process was like. So I would choreograph the day of. So sometimes I would do 2 pieces, 2 little chunks of it within 2 hours in the morning and then teach it later that day. So sometimes it got a little bit stressful, but that's just the easiest way that it came to me. Someone else asked what was my favorite part in the process. I definitely think my favorite part in the process was actually sitting down with the dancers and kind of going over, this is what your section is about, and I know that you all related to this, and I'm so sorry that you had to go through this, and then teaching them the choreography. I just love being able to spend time with these people. As I said, they're all my close friends, so being able to spend time with them and kind of goof around like the old times, it was really great. It was the best part of it all, was meeting with them, and it was just like, it felt like we had never left for COVID. We were all back together. Obviously we were distanced and masked, so it didn't exactly feel like that, but just being in a casual setting and being able to dance together was like the most fun that we've had in a while. A lot of them said too. So someone else had asked, how did my idea for the capstone change after figuring out that it was online this year? Obviously, as I said before, I did start planning this when I was a freshman, start thinking about it. So I always imagined that I would be doing a dance on stage and I would be creating choreography for the stage. So upon finding out that it was going to be virtual, I obviously had to make a change because I am not a filmer and I cannot edit, and I didn't know how is this powerful message going to be relayed to these people, and how am I going to get them to feel it through technology when they're sitting alone in their living room. So I immediately knew that I had to get some help. So I did ask my friend Becca, who was the main cinematographer and editor of this. I asked her because she is a film student and also my best friend, one of them. So it worked out perfect. I kind of said, this is what I want. And she was like, great, what's your vision? Let me hear it. And she worked with me so well, and she knew that I did not know what I was talking about, but she somehow was able to read my mind and make it flawless and perfect. Through every hiccup, she perfectly problem solved. So a big part of that was relying on her for her help. But basically, I just tried to reimagine it and say, I don't want to just film them on a stage with taped out lines, and it just didn't seem right for this piece. So I decided to take everyone into kind of different locations and start to utilize different areas on campus, off campus, but kind of symbolizing these are everyday people that go through these things. We have to go through these things while we're grocery shopping. We have to worry about them. And while we're going to work and while we're going to school, we still have to be going through these things on the side. You can't just turn them off once you get to school or work. So I think it was better able to tell the story, and the changing locations really played a part in it that wouldn't have happened if it was on stage. And a lot of the editing elements couldn't have happened, obviously, if we were in person. So I definitely think it wasn't what I originally expected, but it turned out far better than what I imagined. So I'm super honestly grateful that I was forced into this whole video thing, because it came out like exquisite, like the best I could imagine. So, and then the last question is, how can I see your piece? Somebody asked. So if you've made it this far, you're doing well. I think that if you're following the Rider Senior Capstone 2021 on Instagram, they'll post a lot of updates there. And then the show is going to have a Zoom release party on Friday the 23rd. And then there will be a YouTube release at that time, and then anytime, if you can't make the Friday show, you can watch it anytime after that, just via YouTube. So check out our Instagram page for the details. And that's everything. Thank you guys so much for watching this and for supporting the senior capstones. Everyone worked super hard, and everyone's are gorgeous, and you are not going to want to miss it. So I'll see you there.